Hey everybody, happy Tutorial Thursday. It is our Thursday noontime stream. I hope everyone is doing well wherever you are out there on the internet. Today we had some minor technical difficulties, which is why we're late getting online. Not that us getting online late should be a surprise to anyone who's a normal viewer of the Beating Dream stream. But if you are a new person, welcome. We're so happy to have you. And also, yeah, late happens a lot on the Beating Dream stream just because it's generally how I roll. But we've got a fun project for you today, a fairly easy project. It does involve a little bit of torch time, okay? So I know it's not technically Torch Thursday until this evening, but I'm cheating just a little bit with this project. This is our pierced spiral earrings, and the torchy part is going to be this part right here. So this part right here, which is the ball head pin, sorry, that's still the blood blister that I gave myself on stream last week. It's probably not going to go away anytime soon. Hi, Sophia and Amy, Anna B. We got in, ew, there's something gross under my nail. We got in a bonus Amy, Anna B sighting last night during the sale. I'm not going to blame her for the fact that the sale last night went kind of off the rails, but she didn't help. But it was loads of fun. It's always good to see the peeps. After the day we had yesterday, I definitely needed some peep spotting. So sorry, I'm also gonna try and fix my lights here. Okay, so we cannot entirely blame you, Heather. Just stop it. I entirely blame me. Theoretically, I'm the driver of the bus, and I'm the one who just kept driving the bus in a zigzag pattern instead of straight down the road. Mm-hmm. Oh, I like that shirt. Okay, so the torch part is this. It's the ball head pin here, and then the rest of it is just basic wire work. So let's talk tools and supplies for this afternoon's tutorial. You're going to need some, Amy will take 34% blame. That is slightly more than 1/3 of the blame for the 3-person, I'm not going to call it a disaster. That wasn't a disaster last night. It was a 3-person,
it was more like bumper cars.
Yeah, there you go. It was a 3-person episode of Bumper Cars last night. We did surprisingly manage to sell some beads, despite the fact that I could not keep my focus to save my life last night. So everybody who bought things last night, thank you. We really appreciate that.
You're the best.
Yeah, you're the best. And yes. All right, so 20 gauge wire. The reason I'm using 20 gauge is because it's actually going to be, oh, I hammered this. That's optional. We might skip the hammering today. We'll see if I feel like getting up and getting a bench block. But it's actually going to go through your ear. So generally speaking, most people's ear holes are not comfortable with anything bigger than a 20 gauge. And also, so let's talk for a second about the prototype. So when I was prototyping this, I made really long ball head pins because I was thinking that the earring would be constructed all in one piece. So here's the thing about when you make a ball head pin, or basically when you put heat on your wire, you anneal it, it gets really soft. Now what I discovered after actually making the earring is it doesn't go together in one piece. This image that was in my head really needs 2 pieces in order to function, which means that the ball head pin is here, goes through the beads, come up and wraps around here. So this piece of wire here that makes the ear wire never actually needs to be heated. So I hammered it because it was really soft from the heating that I used to make the ball head pin, but that wasn't really necessary. And of course, when you hammer the part of the wire that's actually going to be sitting in your ear hole, a lot of times people find that uncomfortable. So it's not something that I recommend. So since I now know I need to make this out of 2 pieces of wire, I think I'm going to try this earring without hammering at this point in time. So in addition to my 20 gauge wire, I'm going to use 2 10mm beads. I'm going to use some 10mm faceted tiger eye for my earrings today. And as far as not tools. There's a little more as far as tools goes. As far as supplies go, that's all you need. Tools, you're going to need your 3 basics. You're going to need your chain nose pliers. You're going to need your round nose pliers. You're going to need your wire cutters. You're also going to need a torch. Like I said, there's just a little bit of cheating. It is a torch-ish project, even though the Torch Thursday project's not till this evening. You're probably going to want tweezers to hold your wire in the torch, so you could do that with your pliers. And then since we are making an integrated ear wire on this project, you're going to want a file or some sandpaper because, which reminds me, I did not do, so yeah. So this was our project from last week, which I decided to wear today, and I did not file this ear wire at all. Look at that. Look how stabby and pointy that was. That hurt going in my ear this morning. So I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to fix that. It's important when you're making ear wires that you file the end so that they are blunt and not stabby. Okay, theoretically, your ears should already be pierced. You don't need to pierce them again with your ear wires. So I'm going to go ahead and start by cutting my wire. I'm going to cut 4 pieces of wire. I'm going to cut 2 shorter ones that are going to be my ball head pins and 2 longer ones that are going to be my ear wires. I'm also going to try not to choke to death on stream. No promises though. So I'm going to do 2 pieces at 3 inches long and 2 pieces at 2 inches long. That should be enough to do everything I need to do. And again, I'm using 20 gauge wire for this because it is going to be part of my integrated ear wire. So again, now if you, for some reason, if you wanted to use larger than 20 for the ball head pin part, you could, but oftentimes if you try that, you're going to run into big problems with the holes of your bead. Like the holes in your beads, you can see that's a very nice clean hole, but usually 20 gauge is pushing the limits of what your bead holes will oftentimes accommodate. But if you wanted to use a thicker wire for the head pin portion, you absolutely could, but you definitely do not want to use any thicker than 20 gauge for the part that's going through your ears. Okay, so now I've got my 2 2-inch and 2 3-inch pieces cut. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to ball up the ends of our 2-inch pieces. So this is where I'm going to need my torch, and I'm going to use my torch to make a ball head pin. So I'm going to try and do this without setting anything on fire. I've got my piece of 20 gauge wire and I have it in a cross-locking tweezers. I'm going to start my flame, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my wire and I'm going to drop it into my flame. And what's going to happen really quickly is that wire is going to start to melt and make a ball. See? And you're just going to follow that ball up until you have a nice sized ball head pin. Okay, now you got to be a little careful because if you try and get too large of a ball, it's going to just plop off the end of your wire and you're going to have to start again. Hey, Lori. So what we have here is, it's all 20 gauge wire. I cut 2 2-inch pieces and 2 3-inch pieces. So 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I realize it doesn't necessarily jive with what's on my whiteboard because I put 12 inches, but math is sometimes difficult, especially when one is on one's first cup of caffeine of the day. And then if for some reason you wanted to use a thicker wire for the ball head pin portion of your project, those are the 2-inch pieces of wire. So again, 2 2-inch pieces, 2 3-inch pieces of 20 gauge wire. And the reason I'm kind of verbally vamping here is I wanted to let this cool down to the point where I can set it down on my work surface and it's not going to set things on fire. Okay, take 2 for my second one. Again, start your torch and just take your wire, drop it into the flame. And you just want to hold it in the hottest part of the flame, which is the part directly outside the blue cone. Once again, just let that ball up, follow it up your wire until you have a decent sized ball, like so. Now, sterling silver wire, which is what I'm using, always makes kind of crunchy, sort of textural balls, which I do like that. If you want smooth and perfect balls, fine silver. Fine silver wire makes smooth and perfect balls. Sterling silver wire makes organic, crunchy balls. And yes, we did say balls before 1 p.m. on the Beating Dreams stream. So, you know, I say that's a caffeine drink for sure. If you're playing the drinking game on the noon stream, hopefully you're drinking coffee and not a martini yet. Though seriously, if you've had that day, no judgy here, because yesterday was that day for us. All right, now now that I've got my head pins, I need to make my little spiral bits. So again, the head pin is here, it goes through the bead, comes up and wraps around here. The spiral is part of the integrated ear wire, so that's going to be my 3-inch pieces of wire. I'm not going to make giant spirals because I don't necessarily want to cover over my entire bead. And you'll notice that my wire has a curve. This is what's referred to as the grain of the wire, and I want to try and utilize this curve when I'm making my ear wire portion of my project. That means that when I'm making my spiral, I don't want to utilize the grain. Okay, I'm going to go actually perpendicular to the grain when I make my spiral, so I can utilize the grain to make my ear wire. The logic behind that for me is that this is a fairly tight shape. I'm going to be using my pliers to manipulate it. It's a pretty easy shape to create. And I don't necessarily need the wire's cooperation to make this shape. I can do it whether the wire likes me or hates me, whether it's in a good mood or a bad mood, like it doesn't matter. I can make a spiral in the wire no matter what. This curved shape here, it's helpful if the wire is, in agreement with making that shape. It just helps you get a smoother, kind of nicer curve. So that's why I'm going to use the grain of the wire for that, and make the spiral perpendicular to the grain. So to make a spiral, I'm just going to start with my round nose pliers. Those are the ones with the round noses. Those are the ones we use for making loops, curves, circles, and spirals. So we're going to take our round nose pliers, we're going to grab at the very end of the wire. Okay, so I want to be flush. I don't want any wire sticking out the other side of my pliers. I'm going to press against my thumb, and I'm just going to roll my pliers around to start to make a circle. Now, I want to complete that circle, but I have a problem. I can't move my wrist any further, so I'm just going to loosen, rotate back, and then continue until I have a nice closed circle. And you don't need that to be very large. You just need to make sure that it's large enough that your ball head pin can go through it like so. Okay, that's your indicator for not length, not width. Diameter, circumference. These are the words that one uses to speak about the dimensions of a round object. So yes, your gauge for how large this needs to be, your circle, is going to be that wire. Now I'm going to take my chain nose. Oh my gosh, nobody wants to become famous. Really? Okay. I should mod, I need to remod famous, obviously. I should also mod big follows. Anyway, so now I'm going to take my chain nose pliers, and I'm going to grab my loop, and I'm going to hold half of my loop. Okay, I'm not going to hold the whole thing, because if I hold here, I'm going to start to make my spiral. I'm going to get a weird corner here. So I want to go halfway, hold it nice and firmly, like I have a good solid grip on these pliers, okay? And look, sparkle nails. Anyway, so good solid grip on your pliers, and then just push this wire up. And if you're doing it right, notice that that loop's not moving, but this wire is. I'm starting to make what's going to be my spiral around the outside of this loop. Now, once I get to the point where I can't really go any further, like sometimes you can go between the jaws of the pliers, but see, it kind of gets stuck there. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to loosen my pliers. I'm just going to rotate the whole thing back to my starting position. Again, I'm going to grip like crazy, and I'm going to push up again. And I'm just going to keep doing this in little baby steps. Until I have a moderately sized spiral. I'm going to go for probably, what is that? That's 1, 2, 2.5 times around. That's what I'm going to go for. And then I want to take this spiral and I want to center it up on my wire. So I'm going to take my wire, take my pliers, and I'm going to put them right in that little corner. Okay, so just nestle them right in that corner of your spiral, and then just hold them steady and push your spiral back. And that's how you get your spiral centered over the central axis of your wire. Now, interestingly enough, this is also a piece you can use as a head pin. So if you're looking for decorative head pins, Hi, there's a Batman on the stream. That's exciting. Always happy to have superheroes on the stream. Hi. Welcome to the Beating Dreams stream. Okay, so we have our spiral that is centered. Now we're going to do the same thing on our other piece of wire. So we're going to take our round nose pliers again, and once again, I'm working perpendicular to the grain. So my grain of the wire is going this way. I'm going this way. And grab at the end, and make your loop. Then you're going to change your pliers to your Gotham's quiet for once. Oh God, if the weather in Gotham is anything like the weather in Dallas, everyone is hiding inside with air conditioning and cool beverages because it's a bajillion degrees out there. That is literally how hot it is. Not even kidding. I have a whopping 5 to 7 minute walk from where I park my car, and I thought that I was going to melt. Literally on the sidewalk in a puddle. The only thing that stopped me is that the sidewalk is even hotter than everything else. Okay, so back to making spirals. We've got our round nose, no, not our round nose, our chain nose pliers. And we're going to hold half of that circle, and then we're going to push up and then rotate back, push up. So we're just going to make our spiral in little baby steps. And since we're making earrings, we do want these to match, which means I need to do one more rotation around, or another half rotation, I think. Penguins especially do not like it in Dallas. It's true. I feel like Mr. Freeze would be a welcome addition to Dallas, though, at this time of year. I feel like he might get a parade. Okay, so once again, I'm going to nestle my chain nose pliers in this little corner right here, and then I'm just going to bend this back. If you twist a little bit, just twist it back. So once again, I have my nice little centered spiral. Now, I'm going to start to put this whole thing together. So I'm going to take my bead, and I'm going to take my ball head pin and my spiral. Put the ball head pin through the spiral. And actually, I'm going to go, again, we want to use the grain, so I'm going to go this way. All right, so the ball head pin goes through the spiral. Then the bead goes onto the ball head pin like so. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take these two wires, and we really want to snug this ball head pin wire up against our bead, and we're going to just bend that across our bead like so, and then we're going to take our spiral wire and bend it across our bead like so. So what we've got here now is sort of similar to like a top drilled wire wrap, and it's going to be a little loosey-goosey, and that's okay. Now where these two wires are crossing, we're going to grab our chain nose pliers, and we're going to take the longer of the two, which should be the one that's attached to the spiral, and we're going to bend that straight up. So we're just going to grab that with our chain nose, and we're going to bend it straight up on the central axis of the bead. And then I'm going to take the short wire, wrap it around the long wire. And once again, this is all kind of squirrely, so just hold it as best you can and wrap that around. And a couple, 3 times is enough. And when I'm wrapping, I am kind of equal parts rotating my wire around and actually rotating my bead around. Alright, so there we've got our wrap, and then I'm going to take my wire cutter and I'm just going to trim the end of that wrapping wire, and then this pokey stabby bit here, we're just going to press this down. Like so, because once again, no pokey stabbies on the Beating Dreams stream. Pokey stabbies not allowed. Now we're going to repeat with our other bead. When I'm making earrings, I tend to work assembly line fashion, mostly because I have a short attention span occasionally, and if I do one completely, sometimes I don't want to do the other one. So if I can manage that for myself by going one step on one earring, one step on the other earring. All right, so we're going to take, again, I've got my head pin through my spiral, through my bead. I'm going to take my wires, I'm going to cross them. like so. Then I'm going to take my chain nose pliers and I'm going to grab and bend that long wire straight up so that it's aligned with the central axis of the bead, and then I'm going to take the short wire, wrap it around the long wire a couple times. I want to ideally match what I did on the other earring. Now, if you're in a situation like I am now where it's just a little too short for you to grab that with your fingers, feel free to use your pliers. Chain nose pliers are your friend in this instance, and they will help you grab things that you can't grab with your hands alone. Trim your end off, and again, pokey stabby gets pressed down like so. Now all we have to do is actually make these ear wires, and I am going to add another tool into the mix that I did not put on my supply list, which is just a marker. It's just a regular dry erase marker, a fine point Sharpie. Ultra fine point Sharpie will work as well, the skinnier ones. If you want a fatter ear wire, you can use a regular Sharpie, but then you should probably start with a little bit more wire. I'm going to take my marker and I'm just going to put it about 5/8 of an inch away from this wrap, and I'm just going to bend that wire over. That makes my ear wire shape. I'm going to repeat on my second earring. Ideally, I want these to be the same, which shockingly they are. That's not normal. I was not expecting that to happen. I was expecting to have to adjust, but apparently I do not have to adjust except just a very little bit back here. All right, so no, I didn't do it perfectly, so everyone can rest easy. The world is not about to spin off its axis. I know, right? Thank goodness. Okay, now remember we talked about filing earlier on the Beading Dreams stream. We're going to do that. So when I've cut my end, it's going to be sharp. You can see it's kind of sharp and jaggedy. You can see the burr from the cutters on there, and we don't want that to go through our ear. It's just not comfortable. Again, take my word for it. It happened to me this morning. So I'm just going to take my file and I'm going to knock off all of those burrs and kind of jaggedy parts and just blunt the end of my wire. So the way I do that is I'm going to start by just filing flat. And you do need to kind of support your wire with your fingers, otherwise the file's going to just grab it and bend it. So you can see I've gotten rid of the burrs, I've flattened off the end. Now I need to take the corners here and I just need to blunt them as well. I'm just kind of going to go at an upward angle. I'm not trying to make a point, I'm trying to make kind of a dome, for lack of a better geometric term. And the goal here is I should be able to rub it against my finger and it shouldn't feel sharp. So I'm going to do the same with my other earring. So flatten it out until your burrs are gone and then just blend it into a nice easy shape. And then the last thing I'm going to do is grab my chain nose pliers, and I just like to give the end of these earrings a little bit of the kick outward, and you can kind of bend this ear wire back towards your earring, and that gives you a little bit more of a pleasing shape. And for some people, this little kick outward at the end helps the earrings to stay in their ear, but mostly it's just decorative. But I just like the way it looks. I think it's a more pleasing line. And there we go. Those are our pierced spiral earrings. Now, if you didn't want to bust out your torch for this, you absolutely could do this with a regular head pin, or you could do this with a decorative head pin. So you could do this with one of those head pins that has, you know, a little decorative, you know, disc or kind of granulated bit at the end, and that would be really fun. So thank you all so much for hanging out on the Lunchtime Beading Dreams stream for our pierced spiral earrings, which my camera won't focus on. There, focus? Yes, yes, no. Okay, it's fine. Yeah, thank you for hanging out for pierced spiral earrings. For anybody out there who doesn't know me, hey, I'm Allison from Beading Dreams in Dallas, Texas. We are an actual brick and mortar retail bead store. We're here on Lovers Lane in Dallas, and thanks, Lori. And we're open for business Monday through Saturday from 1 p.m. till 6 p.m. So if you are local in Dallas, we would love it if you would come and check us out. If you're not local in Dallas, you can find us on this channel, twitch.tv/beadingdream, 5 times a week with complimentary tutorial streams. We stream stream Wednesday through Saturday at 6 p.m. Central Time with a complimentary tutorial. We also stream Thursdays at noon. That's the tutorial stream you just watched. And we do live merchandise sales every Wednesday and every Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Pauline, hi! Yay! So happy to see you, and so happy you will be making a pair. I bet you're going to make more than one pair of these because they're kind of addictive, because they're cool and very simple. So that means you're going to find us back on this channel, twitch.tv/Beating Dream, this evening at 6 p.m. with our Torch Thursday stream, where we'll be making our own paperclip chain. That's a very popular style of chain these days, and it's somewhat difficult to find just because it is so popular. So it's kind of nice in a pinch to know how to make your own. So make your own paperclip chain. That's going to be this evening's Torch Thursday stream. If you're not going to catch us for Torch Thursday, don't forget tomorrow night is our Zoom Crafty Cocktail Hour. If you need the information for that Zoom, email us, beatingdreamsdallas@gmail.com. And if we're not going to jump on the Zoom, we'll be back on Saturday with another tutorial at 6 p.m. We're doing magic wands on Saturday and a live merchandise sale. So that's going to be it for the lunchtime stream on the Beating Dreams channel today. So everyone have a beautiful Thursday afternoon, and we'll see you all back on this channel, twitch.tv/Beating Dream tonight at 6.